Hey everyone. Quick-ish one, I guess. I did this thing yesterday, and it comparatively didn't take me very long at all. And it felt like reasonably low effort, so I thought, oh, maybe worth kind of doing a thing about texturing and just like really quick concepting using this as an example. So I'll do something from scratch and just show you how I quickly work, and then how to do these texture bits because they're super simple, and I'm really rubbish at anything to do with nodes or non-visual things. So if I can do it, pretty much anyone can. So yeah, let's jump into the other thing. So default cube. Obviously got to delete it. Add a new one. The place I started with the model yesterday was Bevels. Add some Bevels to a cube. Don't know why, but just makes it more sci-fi. It adds a little bit of extra geometry as well when you're like doubling up things. Because when I was making this thing yesterday, I was working so quickly. I was kind of just doing lots of duplication, just trying to find shapes that I thought were interesting. Using this a lot. Yeah, until we just kind of had something that kind of felt sort of sci-fi looking. If you... But before I go too much further, I'm going to start looking at textures because it becomes a little bit more difficult to apply them if there's loads of random shapes. So the way that I normally do it is using a system called DreamUV, which is a free plugin. People have seen other videos of mine will know all about this. I talk about it a lot, but yeah, essentially just allows me to UV unwrap really quickly using these, which are Atlas materials which I've made, but the plugin comes with one. Easy enough to make your own. All mine are available on my Patreon to download if you love them that much. So you basically super straightforward, just got to set it up. So you take your material, create these edge loops on these dark areas that I've created, which will become the edges of your faces. And just create these new faces using the edge loops like that. So we've now got a collection of lots of different sizes of faces, which the plugin will automatically work out how to apply to the model. So if we take this cube, add this material, go down to here, opaque, just so we can see it. Yeah, and then it's super straightforward. Just select all the faces on the model, go down to DreamUV, select the material, which is this Atlas Material 5, and then hit hotspot. And then what that will do is automatically work out where the faces are and align the faces that are most similar to that shape up to the part of the model. So it kind of automatically UV unwraps, which is great. So to apply that to everything, super simple trick. Just select all of the things you want to apply it to. Select the one that's got it already applied last, hit Ctrl L and hit make links to materials, and then it will add that to all of them. You will need to individually do the DreamUV, so I'll probably speed this up. Okay, so now that's all done. You can see what it's done is it's applied. It's like UV unwrap the model, so all of the faces now, if we go into the UV editor, the plugin has automatically lined things up based on the size of the face, which is great. So for those like longer ones, it's like that face, and then so that's the start. So that's kind of like way quite quickly you can sort of have a basic material applied, you could leave it there if you wanted. I normally go like one step further, or, in terms of the materials, but nothing too complicated. The next trick normally is just have a little play with the roughness. Bigger. So create a new image texture. I normally have, basically I've got a few metal textures downloaded. Yeah, so something like this, like a sort of metal texture. I've got a few of them. This one's normally a good one. Just download it off textures.com. Plug that into the roughness. And as you can see, it sort of starts using that texture and applying it. In terms of the roughness, it's using that as a map, so areas are not uniformly shiny. To control how rough that is, it's fairly easy. Just add a color ramp. Lots of you already know this. It's a very common trick. And as obviously I start playing with that, it affects the roughness in different ways. There are technical reasons for that, I'm sure, and someone could probably tell me them, but for now just know that that works. And it's quite an effective way of kind of making things look a bit more interesting. I change this to get rid of that. Let's go get light, sun, because the sun is better. Rotate it a little bit. I'm in Eevee at the moment. This works in cycles exactly the same. It's just a little bit quicker, I guess, to show you guys in Eevee. Cool, so that's looking sort of like space concrete. Just made that up. Okay, so next, what would I add? Maybe a bump thing. So if we take the original image, we add a bump map here, I guess. It's a bit confusing. Take the color output, stick that into height down here, and put the normal into normal. You can see we start creating, based on the texture of the original image, the atlas material, we've created this very weird concrete looking thing. Change the strength, turn that down so it doesn't look stupid. Yeah, and then carry on playing with your how reflective things are and all of that jazz. I normally have this really turned down. I mean, especially for stuff that's sort of like meant to be metallic, but so yeah, feel free. That might not work for you. You might prefer it. I guess it depends. Yeah, what you think you want your thing to be. Okay, so last thing that I would do very quickly is the ambient occlusion, which is, for those who don't know, what's happening here in these gaps. You see these rusty bits that are happening in the gaps here. As you get in a bit close, they stop looking as cool, but from a distance they work perfectly well. So I have a node group that I've set up from one of the materials that I've used in the past, and I just copy and paste it because it's easier to do it that way. So I just have this node group here that's on another model, this one we're looking at, and I will show you what's inside it. Things, stuff, the ambient occlusion node going into a color ramp, going into a mix shader, which is much easier if you just set it as a group, but the way that normally goes is the color output goes through the ambient occlusion. So if I apply this, again, I'm not really a node expert, so sorry this part of. Okay, so yeah, with the ambient occlusion, just copy and paste that into there, then run your color output through it, put it into base color, make sure that ambient occlusion is check marks in the settings over here, and yeah, you can sort of see it's kind of creating this rust feel in cycles. I'm not sure why it's different. Someone else might be able to explain, but it seems to work. The control element of it works better in cycles, but if you control the distance here, control how much risk there is. It's a little bit OTT on a model this size, but when you start, if we start increasing the size of this, yeah, it kind of melds in a little bit better. Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, from there, I just, build more things, duplicate stuff, create more weird shapes, and just have a play. It's just a good way of creating random shapes really quickly and the texture's sort of working. And then from there, if you decide to go in a specific direction with a model or do something in particular, then you can sort of, play, add more stuff to the textures, have a play with colors, that kind of thing. I'm going to make this model available on my Patreon if people want to download it and have a look around it, dissect it. So feel free to subscribe to that. All of my other Blender models are on there and my kit bash and all that stuff. So there's probably something useful there for you if you're interested in this stuff.